What's going on, everybody? My name's Paul. Thank you for joining me here at All In today. So today I've actually got a review for you. It's this nice little indie title called So first things first, let's go ahead and get the visuals out of the way. I think you can agree that this game is stunning. This game looks like, and everybody's gonna say this for pretty much any review for this game, but this game looks like a Studio Ghibli movie come to life in video game form. And that's not to say that it's just a direct ripoff or anything like that. It is just a style that they are going for, and they do it well. I mean, they pretty much do it flawlessly. They knock out exactly what they're going for. And to be honest, that's one of the things that's going to keep you going with this game. Because if you're anything like me, you're going to want to see what comes next. Like, what piece of beautiful scenery are they going to come up with next? So that's all fine and good. Like, I mean, the game looks great, but how does it play? You know, it's not a movie, it's not a show. So how's the gameplay? How does it control? Well, to be honest, it controls perfectly fine. It's not a game that is going to be stressful, honestly. It's not a game that's going to be tough. This is not something that's like one of those games that's like Ori and the Will of the Wisp that looks beautiful and stunning and cute, but it's absolutely devious to play. This game has no game over screen. There's no enemies, no really enemies in this game. There's like these little robots that can kick you, but honestly, there's no death screen. You will never be set back to a checkpoint or anything like that. This is just a chill, lackadaisical game, and that is exactly what they were going for. They were not making a game that is going to test your mettle, pretty much. And that's okay, because not every game has to be the Dark Souls of games. I mean, it seems like so many other indie studios and AAA studios have been chasing that buzz of, hey, a game has to be hard for people to enjoy it. But that's just not true. Sometimes it's just fun. Like, sometimes it's just enough. Like, how well does the game control? Is it fun getting past this part? And it is. I mean, this game Hoa is absolutely delightful to play. You've got your basic upgrades. Now, at first glance, you might sit here and think, well, is this a Metroidvania? Because that's something that a lot of indie studios like to go for. Everything seems to be a Metroidvania nowadays. If you even mention upgrades, that's the first thing somebody's going to think of. And no, this is not a Metroidvania. You're not going to be sitting here getting, these power-ups that you're then going to go back to old locations so that you can go back and get secrets. This is a pretty straightforward game. I'm not going to say linear because you do have a map that you can use, but the map is just like of the level that you're in. And it's going to show you pretty much all the collectibles that you need to get in order to move forward. There's really nothing that you can miss in this game. And that's about it. Like, that's how the game is played. There's absolutely nothing that you can miss in this game. And that's okay, because you see it all pretty much in one go. There's nothing like, for me, I love a good Metroidvania. I really do enjoy games like that, but it's also nice having a game that just is what it is on its face. It's showing me everything that it has to show me as I'm going. It's not making me, backtrack or waste a bunch of my time. That's one of the best things about this game, is it really doesn't waste your time at all, because that's another thing about it. It's very short. It took me 2 hours to beat this game. And I know for some people that's going to be bad. Like, you want to get your money's worth. But I will say that this is a game that I've already beaten once and then immediately started again, just because it's something that I enjoy and I can kind of zone out to while I play. And I think it just plays very, very nicely. It controls very well. It's pleasant to look at. And the music is just phenomenal. They really knocked it out of the park with the sound design in this game. The music is different for each place that you go. It's got all these little, just these little touches of sound design that are really fantastic. And I was kind of blown away that an indie studio was able to get away with so much as far as that. Now, the sound design I love so much, but it also brings me to one of the gripes of the game. I really didn't have any issues. I didn't have any glitches. The game ran perfectly fine. The FPS never dropped. I didn't have any glitches. Did not, I did not fall through any of the geometry or anything like that. It really was a glitchless game, which you don't really see anymore. I mean, honestly, I don't even know what you would fix with a patch, except for the music. The music does not blend well. When you go from one area to another, it's just a hard cut for music, and then it's on to the, onto the next piece of music. And that was a little off-putting for me. That could kind of take me out of the experience a little bit, but nothing that, just killed my vibe or anything like that. It's just, it is something that I noticed, but maybe some people, won't even notice it or much less care about it. It's just, one little gripe that I had. So the game consists of, pretty much you're going to be doing the same thing for each level. You're going to have one thing that you have to do. And then once you figure out, like, hey, this is the place that I have to get the 5 butterflies for, I'm going to bring the 5 butterflies back, and then I'm going to get my upgrade. Those upgrades are things like double jumps, you're going to get a ground pound, and there's more, but I don't want to spoil anything, because it is kind of neat to see where the game goes from there. But like you're going to be doing a lot of the same thing, but it's, like I said before, it plays so well that it didn't bother me too much. So I kind of recommend that when you're playing this game, you don't play it all in one sitting. Even though it's short, like I said, it's only 2 hours long. They said it could take you 3 to 4 hours. I could see that. If somebody's really taking their time and like really enjoying the scenery, which I kind of do recommend. I don't recommend plowing through this game. I recommend you play it by level. Like, you beat a level and then maybe call it a day for right there. You know what I mean? Like, you beat a level and then step away. And speaking of that, like, this game is on the Switch, PS4, and PC. I would probably recommend picking it up on the Switch. I played it on PC, so I don't know how it runs on Switch, but I would imagine it runs just fine. Because it doesn't seem like it would be some kind of intensive game. You're moving pretty slow. There's not a lot of big explosions that are happening on screen that's going to do anything crazy. There's no insane draw distances. So I think it's going to run perfectly fine, and it seems like the perfect game to pick up on the Switch. And once you beat a level, just put down, go do something else. And then when you're ready and, you're not feeling burnt out or anything, you just come right back up, you pick it up and keep going. That's how I would do. If I was to pick the game up for the first time, knowing what I know, that would be my cup of tea. But to each their own. So I know a lot of people always wonder, like, well, what if you're sitting here talking about a game or, any kind of review, movie, what you're eating, what is a score that you would assign it? So personally, if I had to assign it a score, I'd give it a 6.5, and I know that sounds super low, but especially for all the glowing, just the glowing things that I had to say, you know what? No, a 7. I'd give it a 7, just because I did really enjoy it, but I'd give it a 7 and nothing higher, just because. So the game really changes 1/4 of the way through, at the last 1/4 of the game. For the first 3/4 of it, I would call this a mom game. And by that, I mean it's something that my mom would enjoy playing and probably enjoy watching. And I think that, somebody who doesn't have as much of a skill level, especially with platformers, because jumping can be tough, would be completely fine with the first 3/4 of the game. But then by the last fourth, the game completely flips on its head and gets kind of difficult and maze-like, and I found myself getting lost. But also right before that, there seems like a chase sequence that I should be playing as you're escaping something, and it totally takes control from you, and it's just a cutscene. So at one point, it's like they don't trust you enough to be able to do a tough chase sequence, but then right after that, they throw you into, something that is actually kind of difficult. So the ending is just very uneven for me. If the ending had been better, I would have definitely gave this game like a higher rating, an 8 or somewhere along the lines. But I mean, it's still a pretty high recommendation, just because I think that it's interesting. The story that it tells is not unique. I mean, it's something that's been done quite a few times before, especially if you're looking at this game. I think you can kind of guess what the story is. But again, I just won't get into spoiler territory there. That's something you can find out yourself. But so that's why I just can't go above a 7. But with that, I will say that I do recommend it if you're looking for something casual to play, if you're really enjoying the art style, and you know, I mean, if you watch any of this and then you're like, well, this looks interesting and I want to see where it goes from here, I can highly recommend it and say, hey, it's worth your time. But yeah, so that's the end, everybody. Again, this is out on the Switch, PS4, and Steam. I don't know if it's on Xbox or anything like that, but if you like what you saw, maybe go ahead and, you know, check it out, see if you like it yourself. Again, I do recommend it. I know for a lot of people 7 seems kind of low, but I think it's one of those very enjoyable games that just doesn't quite knock it out of the park, but I'd love to see what the studio does next. But yeah, guys, I really appreciate you all for stopping by. If you liked the video, please hit that like button, leave me a comment down below. And if you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit that sub button so that you can see when I upload the next time. But other than that, guys, I really just appreciate you all for sticking with me today and listening to what I had to say pretty much. And I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.